Night presses down on the city like a weight, the kind of cold that cuts straight through bone. Outside a small brick apartment building, Leon and Marcia Bryant stand with everything they own scattered across the icy sidewalk. Their breath rises in shaky clouds. Marcia clutches her chest, fighting the chill that's already slipping into her lungs. Behind them in the warm glow of the doorway stands their landlord, Mr. Havorson, arms folded, expression sharp with irritation, not an ounce of guilt. Leon pleads softly, voice trembling not from cold but from fear. "Please, it's below freezing. She's not well." Havorson's reply is ice cold. "I have rules. I'm not babysitting people who can't pay on time." Snow drifts harder like the sky itself is turning against them. Cars roll by without slowing. Windows stay shut. People see, no one stops. The couple stands alone in the storm, dignity dissolving into the winter air. Leon forces himself to stay calm, jaw tight. He knows one raised voice could turn this from cruel to dangerous. Marcia steadies herself on her cane. I can't feel my fingers," she whispers. Havorson doesn't blink. He simply shuts the door. The lights click off. A silent message, "You don't belong here." Leon pulls off his coat and wraps it around Marcia's shoulders, hands shaking as he tries to keep her warm. His eyes hold a pain deeper than anger, something heavy, something years old. A neighbor walks by, lifts their phone and records them, not to help but to gossip online. Leon lowers his head. "I'm sorry," he whispers to Marcia, voice cracking. "I failed you." She touches his cheek, even as her hands tremble. "No, you held us together." They gather their bags, preparing to walk into the freezing dark. When headlights cut through the falling snow, a black SUV glides to a stop. The window lowers slowly. A deep, steady voice calls out through the cold. "Mom, Dad." Leon and Marcia freeze. Havorson opens his door again, ready to yell. But when he sees the man stepping out, his face drains of color. Tall, confident, calm authority in every step. Judge Derek Bryant, their son. Havorson stutters, voice barely a breath. I didn't know." And the narration settles like a warning. But what he didn't know would change everything. Morning sunlight spills weakly across the city, but inside the Bryant home, warmth has been fading for months. Their apartment is small, old, and tired, peeling paint, drafty windows, a radiator that groans but never fully heats the room. Still, Leon and Marcia Bryant have always treated it like a blessing, because home isn't the walls. It's the two of them holding on. Leon in his late 50s rises before dawn every day. Not because he has a stable job, those days ended when the mechanic shop he worked at for 20 years shut down, but because he refuses to let life make him idle. He slips into worn boots, picks up whatever temporary work he can find. Repairs, snow shoveling, odd jobs for cash, anything to keep them afloat. He tries to smile through it. But every morning, when Marcia sleeps on the couch wrapped in blankets because the bedroom is too cold, guilt digs a little deeper. Marcia soft-spoken and gentle, once worked as a nurse's aide. Her hands have held newborns, comforted elders, soothed every kind of pain but her own. After her respiratory condition worsened, she had to stop working. Some days she breathes fine. Other days, the cold makes every inhale feel like someone is squeezing her chest. She never complains. Not about the cold. Not about the bills. Not even about the landlord who treats them more like intruders than tenants. She doesn't want to worry her husband. Leon doesn't want to burden her. They both hide their pain to protect the other, two hearts fighting storms alone so the other doesn't drown. And then there's Derek their son, their pride. Now a respected judge known for fairness, integrity, and strength. He moved across the country years ago for school, then work, then opportunity after opportunity. They raised him to fly, never realizing how far those wings would carry him. He calls when he can, visits when his schedule allows, sends love in every voicemail. But Leon and Marcia never tell him the truth, not about the mounting bills, not about the failing heat, not about how close they are to losing everything. Leon always says the same thing. Derek's building a life, let him work, we'll be fine. Marcia always nods, even when her eyes say otherwise. They want to appear strong for him, not realizing that hiding their struggle is the very thing hurting them most. Life in the apartment has been slipping downhill slowly, small signs at first. The heat turning off randomly in November, paint chips falling like silent snow, water stains spreading on ceilings, pipes clanking through the night, every issue reported, every issue ignored. And always the same response from their landlord, Walter Havorson. "I'll get to it." But he never does. What he does get to, right on time, is taping warnings to their door, checking on them unannounced, making comments that feel harmless on the surface but carry a weight that's impossible to miss. "You people need to keep up with payments. You people always ask for special treatment. You people don't understand responsibility." Leon knows exactly what "you people" means. He swallows the hurt each time, choosing peace over conflict. He's seen too many situations turn bad when tempers rise. But things get worse. A neighbor, an older woman from down the hall, pulls Marcia aside one morning. "He kicked out the Thompsons last month," she whispers. "Before that, the Green family, both black, both behind on rent like you need to be careful." Marcia's heart sinks. She knows being late on rent puts them in danger. She knows their landlord doesn't look at all tenants the same way. But what can she do? They're trying, they're fighting, they're holding on with everything they have. Then comes the day Leon finds the notice. A single piece of paper taped crookedly to their door. Eviction in 72 hours. No warning. No legal process. No mercy. The date is wrong. The signature is sloppy. The justification is vague. But the message is loud and clear. Havorson has decided they're done. Leon stands frozen in the hallway, the paper trembling in his hand. He hears Marcia coughing inside the apartment, soft, painful, deep. The sound slices through him. He walks in slowly, trying to hide the notice behind his back, but Marcia sees it. Her face falls. "Leon, what is that?" He doesn't answer immediately. He just hands her the paper. She reads it once, then again, then again. Her hands shake. Her breath catches. And finally, she whispers the question neither of them wants to say aloud. "Where will we go?" Leon looks at her, the woman who has stood beside him through every storm. He forces a smile he doesn't feel. "We'll figure it out," he says softly. But inside, panic churns. How do you figure out losing the only place you can afford? How do you figure out moving in winter when you can barely pay for groceries? How do you figure out staying strong when the world keeps pushing you down? They sit together on the couch, holding hands in silence, the room colder than ever, both pretending not to be afraid. But fear fills the air like frost. The setup ends on a quiet image. Leon standing by the window at night, watching snow begin to fall. His reflection stares back at him, tired, worn, worried. He whispers a prayer he hasn't spoken in years. "Lord, give me strength, just a little more." What he doesn't know is that strength is already on its way, in the form of a son who will soon change everything. The cold arrives earlier than anyone expects. A brutal winter front sweeps across the city overnight, winds sharp enough to rattle windows, cold thick enough to seep into the lungs like glass. News anchors warn people to stay indoors, to keep heaters running, to check on vulnerable neighbors. But in the Bryant apartment, the heater has been dead for hours. Before dawn, Marcia wakes up with a tightness in her chest. Breathing feels heavy. Each inhale stings. She pulls the blankets closer, but the cold presses through everything. She tries to sit up, gripping the edge of the couch for support. Her breath shakes. Her chest rises slowly, too slowly. "Leon," she calls out softly. In the kitchenette, Leon is making instant oatmeal, trying to warm the apartment with whatever heat the stove gives off. He rushes over when he hears her voice. "I'm here, baby, I'm here." He helps her sit up straighter. Marcia forces a small smile. "I'm okay, just the cold." But her lips are pale. Her fingertips even paler. Leon's heart tightens. This isn't normal winter cold. This is dangerous cold. He wraps an extra blanket around her and says gently, "Let me try the heater again." He walks to the radiator and twists the knob. Nothing, no hum, no warmth, just a metallic click and silence. Same silence as yesterday. And the day before. He sighs deeply. "I'm calling Havorson. He can't keep ignoring this." Marcia touches his arm. "Leon, don't make him angry." He looks at her, eyes full of heavy frustration. "Marcia, you're struggling to breathe. We can't live like this." Leon dials the landlord's number. After 3 rings, Havorson answers, voice sharp. "What is it now?" Leon swallows his irritation. "The heat is out again. My wife is sick. Could you please send someone today? It's freezing." A sigh from the other end. "You know I have other tenants, right? I can't drop everything every time you people call with complaints." Leon closes his eyes. There it is again. "You people." "Sir, please, she has a medical condition. We need heat." Havorson's tone turns impatient. "I'll see if I can get someone. Don't expect miracles." The call ends abruptly. Leon stares at the phone, jaw clenched. He doesn't want miracles. He wants fairness. Just basic human decency. Marcia watches him with gentle eyes. "You did your best, let's wait." But Leon knows waiting means more suffering. Still, he sits beside her, rubbing her cold hands until the sun rises. Later that morning, Leon puts on his coat and steps into the icy street. The owner of a small grocery store down the block promised him a short job, shoveling the storefront sidewalk. It's not much money, but every dollar counts. Marcia watches from the window, wrapped in blankets. She presses her hand against the cold glass and prays for him. Leon works hard, clearing snow in slow, painful motions. The cold gnaws at his fingers, his breath fogs heavily, but he keeps going. He always keeps going. He finishes, collects his modest pay, and rushes home with a small bag of groceries and a bottle of cheap medicine for Marcia's breathing. But as he approaches the apartment building, he sees a figure standing at their door. Havorson, clipboard in hand, face already annoyed. Leon quickens his pace. "Mr. Havorson, did you bring someone to fix the heat?" Havorson looks at him with a flat expression. "No, and I won't, not anymore." Leon freezes. "What do you mean?" Havorson holds up a stack of papers. "I'm enforcing the eviction notice." Leon's chest tightens. "But it's not even legal. I asked for time and you—" "I don't care, you're behind on rent. I want you out today." "Today," Leon blurts, voice cracking. "My wife is sick, it's below freezing." Havorson's voice rises. "Rules are rules. I already gave you more chances than you deserved." Leon steps between the landlord and the door. "Please, at least let me talk to you." But Havorson is already unlocking the door, walking inside like he owns every breath they take. Which technically he does. Leon follows him inside, heart pounding. Marcia lifts her head from the couch, confused. "Mr. Havorson, did you—" Havorson cuts her off with a harsh wave of his hand. "You two need to pack your things, now." Marcia's face drains of color. "Sir, please, I'm not well. Just give us a few more days." "No," Havorson snaps. "If you can't pay, you can't stay." Leon tries to stand tall. "Please rethink this. We're doing everything we can." "Not my problem," Havorson interrupts. He starts pulling open cabinet doors, slamming them shut, inspecting the apartment as if searching for reasons to justify his cruelty. He picks up a small ceramic angel figurine from the shelf, one of Marcia's cherished keepsakes, and tosses it carelessly onto a pile of boxes. It shatters. Marcia gasps softly. Her hand flies to her chest. Leon takes a step forward. "That belonged to her mother," he says, voice shaking. Havorson shrugs. "You should pack more carefully." Leon's calm cracks for the first time. His voice trembles, anger rising through years of swallowed pride. "We are human beings, treat us like it." Havorson looks at him with cold disdain. "You people always play the victim." The words hit Leon like a punch. His fists clench. His eyes burn. But he steps back, choosing restraint, choosing peace, choosing not to give this man more reason to throw them out. Halvorsen continues yanking open drawers, tossing things into the hallway like trash. Documents, blankets, clothes, memories. Marcia grows paler, weaker. She coughs violently, gripping her cane with both hands. Leon rushes to her. Sit down, love, breathe slowly. He turns to Halvorsen. Please, I'm begging you, just a few more days. I said no, Halvorsen snaps. Then adds quietly, be grateful I'm not calling authorities. Leon's heart twists painfully. There is no mercy here. No compassion. Just power wielded without thought. Within an hour, the apartment is half emptied, boxes and bags scattered on the icy sidewalk. Marcia leans against Leon, barely standing. Neighbors peek through cracked doors. Some whisper, some judge. Most simply watch. Their dignity dies piece by piece. Halvorsen walks out carrying one final box. He drops it at Leon's feet. Your keys. He holds out his hand. Leon stares at him. In this weather. Halvorsen answers with silence. Leon slowly places the keys in his palm. It feels like surrender. Like defeat. Halvorsen locks the apartment door. Then twists the doorknob to make sure it won't budge. Then, just to emphasize his control, he turns off the hallway light. The couple stands in darkness. Marcia breathes in shaky gasps. Leon wraps her tightly in his coat. I can't stay here, Leon, I can't breathe, she whispers. I know, baby, I know, he whispers back, voice trembling. He tries calling shelters. All full. He tries calling friends. No space. No room. No help. His hands shake around his phone. He considers calling their son. But the shame burns too deep. I can't let him see us like this, Leon mumbles. Marcia touches his hand gently. Honey, sometimes even strong men need to lean. Leon looks at her with wet, exhausted eyes. But he shakes his head. He lifts their bags. Helps Marcia stand. They step into the snow. The wind is vicious. Snow whips across their faces. Every step feels heavier than the last. Halfway down the block, Marcia stops. Her legs buckle. Leon catches her, lowering her gently to the curb. Her breaths come fast and shallow. Marcia, baby, stay with me, he pleads. She tries to speak but coughs instead, the sound terrible and raw. Leon lifts her into his arms. She feels lighter than he remembers, too light. It scares him. He walks, struggling against the storm, whispering prayers into her ear. Hold on, please, hold on. Tears fall freely now, freezing on his cheeks. At an intersection, a car slows down. Then speeds away. No one helps. Leon stumbles to a stop under a flickering streetlight. He lowers Marcia onto a bench and kneels before her. I'm sorry, he chokes out. I tried, I'm so sorry. Marcia lifts her trembling hand to his face. Her voice is faint. Leon, you didn't fail me. You're the only reason I'm still here. He breaks then. Truly breaks. Leaning his forehead against her hand, he whispers the thing he never wanted to say. I don't know what to do. Headlights glow through the swirling snow. A black SUV slows beside them. The window rolls down. A familiar voice calls out, deep, steady, disbelieving. Mom, Dad. Leon's breath catches. Marcia weakly opens her eyes. The SUV door opens. A tall man in a long overcoat steps into the cold. Their son. Their boy. Their protector in a world that has not protected them back. Derek rushes to them, dropping to his knees beside his mother. Mom, what happened? Why are you out here, Dad, what? Leon tries to speak, but shame chokes his voice. He looks away. Marcia whispers, the landlord, he made us leave. Derek's expression darkens, not with anger uncontrolled, but with a deep, focused fury. The kind reserved for injustice. For cruelty. for people who harm the vulnerable. He stands slowly, breath steady. Get in the car, turn up the heat. I'll be right back. Leon looks up. Son, please don't. But Derek is already walking toward the apartment building. Every step deliberate. Every step heavy with purpose. The snow falls around him like a curtain. Behind them, Leon whispers to Marcia. He's not just our son anymore. Marcia squeezes his hand. He's justice. # inciting incident ends with. Derek standing before the apartment building door, staring at it with a calm intensity that sends a chill through the landlord watching from inside. He speaks one quiet sentence before knocking. This ends tonight. Snow continued drifting down in lazy flakes, softening the edges of the harsh night. But nothing could soften the thundering silence that followed Judge Derek Bryant's words. Mom, Dad. Leon felt his breath hitch. He turned slowly toward the voice, disbelief flickering in his eyes. Derek walked closer, his long overcoat billowing in the wind, his footsteps crunching through the snow with a commanding weight. His face, usually so composed, so impenetrably confident, softened when he saw Marcia shivering under Leon's coat. Mom, Derek whispered, placing a gloved hand on her cheek. You're freezing. Marcia tried to smile, but her lips trembled too hard. Baby, what are you doing out here? I came as soon as I got your voicemail, Derek said. You said nothing about this. Leon's throat tightened. We didn't want to worry you. You already carry so much. I'm your son, Derek said firmly. Your load is mine. Behind them, the front door creaked. Mr. Havorson hovered there, trying to maintain the hard expression he'd used only minutes earlier. But now his face was pale, unnervingly pale, as if the blood had drained from his entire body the moment he recognized Derek. He forced his voice to steady. Judge Bryant, I didn't realize these two were your... My parents, Derek finished for him, a frost in his tone colder than the night air. Havorson swallowed. There must have been a misunderstanding. Derek turned slightly, just enough so Havorson could see the fire in his eyes. A misunderstanding is forgetting a receipt. This, he gestured to the scattered belongings on the ground, is cruelty. Havorson tried to speak, but Derek raised a hand to silence him. Leon stepped in. Son, just leave it, we'll go, we don't want trouble. Derek looked at his father with a tight, almost pained expression. Dad, this is * trouble. He faced Havorson again, voice low and dangerous. Explain now. Havorson tugged at his scarf, suddenly sweating despite the cold. They missed rent only by a little, and you know how it is these days, Judge Bryant, tenants taking advantage, I can't allow. You put two sick elderly people outside in the freezing cold, Derek said, his jaw clenching. Without notice, without due process, without compassion, you violated basic human decency, forget the law. I didn't know who they were, Havorson muttered. Derek's eyes hardened. So if they were your close friends, you would have treated them differently. You only value people who benefit *you. Havorson stiffened but said nothing. Leon reached out gently, placing a hand on Derek's arm. Son, we'll explain everything later. Right now, help us get your mother warm. Derek breathed out slowly, mastering the storm inside him. He nodded and turned back to the SUV. Dad, help me get Mom in the car. As they guided Marcia into the heated vehicle, her breaths eased. Derek placed blankets around her, warming her shaking hands between his own. Stay with me, he whispered. You're safe now. Once she was settled, Derek stood straight and closed the door softly. Then his gaze snapped back to Havorson. You're going to fix this, he said. Havorson lifted both hands defensively. I can, let them back in, just for tonight. Derek laughed once, no humor in it. You think this is about the apartment? I will. You humiliated them, Derek said, taking a deliberate step forward. You stripped their dignity. You put their lives at risk. My mother has a heart condition. Did you even care? Havorson's lips parted, but no sound came. Derek's voice became steel. You're done talking. When this is over, you'll regret every second. Leon's voice came from behind them, quiet but steady. Derek. His son turned. Don't destroy him, Leon said. Just make sure he can't do this to anyone else. Derek studied his father for a long moment. The anger in him wanted to erupt, to burn everything in its path. But his father, gentle, weary, dignified even in suffering, was asking for mercy. And Derek had never been able to deny his father's wisdom. He nodded once. "All right, but we're doing this the right way." Halvorsen let out a shaky breath of relief, too early. Derek's expression sharpened. "Mr. Halvorsen, you will produce every rental document, every notice, and every communication between you and my parents. You will also explain your decision to forcibly evict them without due cause. Right here, right now." "In this weather," Halvorsen sputtered. "You weren't worried about the weather 10 minutes ago," Derek said. Halvorsen opened and closed his mouth like a trapped fish, but the authority in Derek's eyes left no room for refusal. He scurried inside. As the door shut, Derek turned back to his father. "Dad, how long have things been this bad?" Leon lowered his gaze to the snow. "Since the factory cut my hours, they're replacing us with machines. My paycheck barely covers groceries." "And Mom?" Derek asked softly. "She tries to hide it," Leon whispered, "but her chest pains gotten worse." Derek felt his throat tighten. "Why didn't you tell me?" "We didn't want pity," Leon said. "Or to be a burden. We taught you to be strong. Sometimes we forget to be weak in front of you." Derek's expression softened, pain flickering behind his eyes. "You're my parents. You could never be a burden." Leon gave him a tired smile. "Maybe not in your heart, but in our pride." Derek opened his mouth to speak, but the apartment door creaked again. Halvorsen emerged, arms full of papers. He slipped on the icy step, and the stack flew into the snow. Derek didn't move to help him. Halvorsen scrambled to gather everything, but the wind snatched several pages. Leon sighed and stepped forward, picking up a few sheets. Derek noticed. "Dad, you don't have to help him." "I know," Leon said quietly. "That's why I will." Halvorsen avoided his eyes, mumbling thanks. Once the papers were gathered, Derek said, "Inside. We're doing this at the table." Halvorsen blinked. In my apartment." "Unless you want to do it right here in the snow," Derek said. Halvorsen hesitated, then opened the door. Inside, the warmth hit them instantly, but it couldn't melt the icy tension. Halvorsen sat at the dining table, hands trembling as he organized the documents. Derek stood behind him, looming like a silent judgment. Leon remained near the doorway, uncomfortable stepping further inside the home of a man who had just thrown him out. Snow dripped from his coat, leaving small puddles on the floor. And even though Marcia was in the car outside, wrapped in blankets, Derek's heart was still racing, knowing she was out there alone. He checked the window twice before forcing himself to sit. "Start explaining," Derek said. Halvorsen lifted a notice. They were late on rent. "By how many days?" "5. Derek's eyebrows rose. 5 days, and how long were they your tenants before that?" Halvorsen cleared his throat. 4 years. 4 years, Derek repeated. "Never missed a payment before." "No. No complaints, no disturbances." "No. And you didn't know my mother was sick." "I didn't ask." "Because you didn't care." Halvorsen's jaw tightened, but he didn't deny it. Derek leaned forward. "Did you give them a warning?" "I texted." "What time?" 11:52 p.m. "On what date?" "Their due date." Derek shook his head slowly. "So, you sent them a message close to midnight, and because they didn't respond while sleeping, you assumed they were ignoring you." Halvorsen pressed his lips together. "And the eviction notice?" Derek asked. "Was that legal?" A painful silence followed. Halvorsen whispered, "No." Derek exhaled. "So not only were you heartless, you were unlawful." Halvorsen swallowed hard. "Judge Bryant, please." "Please what?" Derek said quietly. "Say it." "Don't ruin me," Halvorsen said. "I made a mistake." "No, you made a choice." Leon stepped forward. "Derek, enough for tonight." Derek turned. "Dad, your mom needs you more than he needs punishment." Derek inhaled deeply. He nodded. He stood, towering over Halvorsen. "This isn't over. We'll finish this legally. You will answer for everything." Halvorsen nodded numbly. Derek turned to his father. "Let's get Mom to the hospital." They stepped outside again into the cold, but this time something had changed. The night no longer felt like it was swallowing them. It felt like it was waiting for what came next. The SUV's engine hummed softly, filling the silence as Derek and Leon slid back into their seats. The heater blasted warm air, but Marcia still shivered beneath the blankets. Her breaths came in shallow waves, her lips pale. Derek leaned toward her, touching her forehead gently. "Mom, stay awake for me." "I'm fine," she whispered, forcing a smile she didn't have energy for. Leon's voice cracked. "She's been getting these spells more often." Derek didn't say a word. He simply shifted into gear and pulled onto the snowy street, tires crunching through the icy slush. Marcia looked around weakly. "Baby, you weren't supposed to see all this." "I wish I hadn't," Derek said quietly, "but I'm glad I came when I did." Leon rubbed his forehead, guilt etched deep. "We should have told you. We should have asked for help." "No," Derek said. "You should have been treated with respect. That's the only thing you were owed." Snowflakes drifted past the windshield, illuminated by the headlights like tiny stars. The streets were nearly empty, just a few silhouettes of bundled pedestrians and the faint glow of closed stores. Marcia's breathing steadied a little. She looked at her son with motherly worry. "Are you missing work for this? You always have important cases." "Mom," Derek interrupted softly, "nothing on earth is more important than you." She closed her eyes, overcome, not by sickness this time, but by emotion. The automatic doors slid open, and the sudden brightness of the hospital lobby made them all blink. Derek supported Marcia on one side while Leon supported the other. A nurse glanced up from the front desk. "Chest pain?" she asked immediately, noticing Marcia's condition. "Yes," Derek said, "and she's been exposed to freezing temperatures for almost an hour." The nurse nodded briskly and brought over a wheelchair. "We'll take her back right away." As they rolled her into the hallway lined with pale blue curtains, Derek felt something twist inside him. A mix of fear, guilt, and rage he wasn't used to carrying. Judges were trained to stay neutral, steady, controlled. But tonight, he was Judge Bryant. He was a son watching his mother suffer because a man with power had chosen cruelty over compassion. A doctor approached quickly. "We're going to run an EKG and blood work. She's showing signs of hypothermia and possible cardiac stress." Derek's heart pounded. "Is she going to be okay?" "We'll do everything we can," the doctor said, then hurried behind the curtain. Leon sank into a plastic chair in the hallway, head in his hands. His gloves were still damp from scooping up their belongings earlier. The exhaustion etched into his posture made him look years older. Derek sat beside him. "Dad, talk to me. What aren't you saying?" Leon exhaled shakily. "I've been trying to hold everything together. The factory cut my hours from 40 to 20. Then Marcia's medication prices jumped. And when the winter bills came," he looked away, "I couldn't keep up." "You should have called me," Derek said gently. Leon shook his head. "You've built a whole life, a career. We didn't want to interrupt it every time we struggled." "That's not an interruption," Derek said. "That's family." Leon's voice cracked. "Your mother tried to hide how bad it was, the chest pain, the dizziness. Some nights she couldn't sleep because her heart felt like it was skipping beats." Derek tightened his hands into fists. "She kept that from me." "For your sake," Leon whispered, "not hers." Silence settled, thick, heavy, painful. Across the hallway, a monitor beeped steadily. Nurses whispered. A gurney squeaked by. The world felt too calm for the storm inside Derek. After almost an hour, a nurse steps out from behind the curtain. "She's stable for now," the nurse said. "We'll keep her overnight for monitoring." Leon sagged with relief. Derek let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. They followed the nurse back to the small room where Marcia lay under warm blankets, an IV in her arm, a heart monitor blinking beside her. Her eyes fluttered open when they entered. "Am I going home?" Derek leaned close. "Not tonight, Mom. They're watching your heart." "Oh," she tried to sit up, but the nurse gently pushed her back. Leon took her hand. "You gave us a scare." She squeezed his fingers weakly. "I'm tougher than I look." Derek smiled faintly. "Well, tonight you're letting the doctors take over." Marcia's gaze softened. "I hate hospitals." "You can hate this one from the comfort of your warm bed," Derek said. She chuckled softly, then winced at the effort. The nurse excused herself. leaving them in the soft, beeping quiet of the room. Marcia looked between her husband and son. "What about the apartment?" she whispered. Leon looked at the floor. Derek straightened. "Don't worry about that." "But we have nowhere to go tonight," Leon said. "Our things, they're still outside." "Dad," Derek said firmly, "you're not going back there." Leon hesitated. "Where else would we go?" "With me," Derek answered. "Both of you." Leon frowned. "Your condo, it's your space, your life." "It's home," Derek said, "and so are you." Marcia's eyes filled with tears. "Baby, I don't want to interrupt your work, your privacy, You're not interrupting anything," Derek said. "You need care, safety, stability, and I'm going to give you all of it." Marcia looked at him long and hard. "We wanted to be the parents who never needed anything from their son." "And I will always be the son who wants to give everything to his parents," Derek said. Marcia wiped a tear away. "I don't want to feel like a burden." Derek kissed her forehead. "You'll never be that." Leon swallowed the lump in his throat. He placed his hand on Derek's shoulder. "Thank you, son." Derek nodded softly. "We face this together now." Marcia drifted into a light sleep, exhausted. Derek stepped into the hallway, Leon following. "What now?" Leon asked. Derek's eyes darkened. "Now I handle the man who did this." Leon sighed. "Son, let it go." "I can't," Derek said. "Not after what he put you through, not after Mom almost." He couldn't say the words. Leon placed a hand over Derek's fist. "Don't let anger swallow you." "This isn't anger," Derek said quietly. "This is justice." Leon knew that tone, calm, steady, unstoppable. The same tone Derek used in court when he prepared to dismantle corruption. Leon exhaled heavily. "If you must do it the right way." "The legal way," Derek said. "And Father, I give you my word I won't cross that line." Leon nodded once. "Then I trust you." He walked to the far end of the hallway and dialed a number he rarely used after work hours. It rang once. "Judge Bryant," a voice answered, surprised. "Detective Harris," Derek said, "I need you." "Sir, is everything all right?" "No," Derek said, "and I need you to start an investigation." "What's the case?" "Unlawful eviction, endangerment, possible discrimination." Detective Harris whistled. "Heavy stuff. Who's the landlord?" "Gregory Havorson." There was a pause. Detective Harris clearly recognized the name. "So you want this handled quietly?" "No," Derek said, eyes narrowing. "I want it handled properly." "Understood. I'll meet you first thing in the morning." "Good. Bring everything you have on tenant complaints in that building, past and present." "Yes, sir." Derek hung up. A storm was forming, and this time it wasn't snow. Back in the room, Leon sat beside Marcia, humming a song he used to sing to Derek when he was little. Marcia's face relaxed as she slept, her breathing steady under the soft glow of the monitor. Derek watched them quietly from the doorway. He wasn't used to feeling helpless. He lived in a world where decisions had power, where his signature could change a life, where his voice could settle a dispute, where his command could shift the direction of an entire case. But tonight, none of that mattered. Tonight, he was just a son who realized how thin the line between stability and collapse had become for people like his parents. Honest, hardworking, quiet people who never asked for anything. And a landlord had destroyed that with a single heartless act. Derek stepped forward, placing a blanket gently over Leon's shoulders. "Dad, rest a little." Leon nodded, weary, just for a moment. As his father drifted off beside his sleeping wife, Derek stood guard, silent, tall, resolute. The snow outside kept falling, but its cold no longer scared him. Because now, Derek wasn't just reacting. He was preparing. For battle, for justice, for his parents. And when morning came, Gregory Havorson would face consequences he never imagined. Morning arrived gray and heavy, the kind of winter sky that felt like it pressed down on the world. Snow clung to the hospital windows in quiet sheets, but inside Marcia's room, warmth finally returned. She slept peacefully, her breathing soft and steady beneath the blankets. The heart monitor beside her blinked like a tiny lighthouse, steady, alive, fighting. Leon sat at her bedside, fingers wrapped gently around hers. His lips moved in silent prayer, repeating the same words he'd whispered all night. He was exhausted, eyes red, shoulders slumped, but he never let go of her hand. Not once. Across the room, Derek stood by the window in his suit and overcoat, the same suit he wore in courtrooms, where he spoke for people who had no voice. Today, he was Judge Bryant. He was a son standing on the edge of a storm he could no longer hold back. Leon glanced up at him. "Son, don't do anything that'll cost you." Derek turned. "Dad, this isn't revenge, it's responsibility." Leon nodded slowly. "Just don't forget who she raised you to be." A softer look touched Derek's face. "That's exactly who I'm being." He bent down and kissed Marcia's forehead. She stirred lightly, whispering in a weak voice, "Be safe." "I will," he assured her. "I'll be back soon." He walked out without another word, jaw tight, heart steady, purpose clear. Outside, the morning was bitter cold. Snowflakes drifted in lazy spirals, covering the streets like a blanket. Derek's SUV pulled up to the apartment building where the nightmare started. Detective Harris was already waiting at the front, breath rising in clouds, a thick folder tucked under his arm. "Judge Bryant," he greeted. Derek nodded. "You found what I asked for." Harris opened the folder. "More than I expected. 6 families in the last 3 years, all late on rent, all black, all pushed out without proper procedure. Same landlord, same pattern." Derek's jaw clenched, and no one did anything. People tried, but he kept everything under the table. Some tenants were too scared to speak. Others moved on quietly. Derek looked at the building, peeling paint, broken gutters dripping icicles, the front walkway unshoveled. Everything about it screamed neglect, but neglect wasn't the worst of it. There was something darker underneath. Together they walked up to Havorson's door. Derek knocked once, firm, controlled. Havorson opened the door wearing a robe, holding a mug of coffee. The moment he saw Derek, his whole expression changed. Annoyance first, then fear, then something uglier, defensiveness. "What do you want now?" he snapped. Harris stepped forward slightly, just enough for his badge to catch the light. Havorson's face went pale. What's this about?" Derek stepped inside slowly, as if entering a courtroom. "This is about the law you decided didn't apply to you." Havorson bristled. "If this is about last night." "It is," Derek said calmly, "but it's also about everything that led up to it." Harris held up the folder. "We have multiple reports of illegal evictions, threats, falsified notices, intimidation, and discrimination." Havorson blinked rapidly. "That's ridiculous. They were behind on rent. I have rules." "Rules," Derek said, "or targets." Havorson stiffened. "People like them always cause trouble." "People like them?" Derek repeated softly, eyes narrowing. Havorson shifted uncomfortably. "I didn't mean." "You did," Derek said. "You've meant it for years." Havorson stepped back. "This is unfair. They're irresponsible tenants there." "Human beings," Derek cut in sharply. "Something you keep forgetting." Havorson's lip curled. "You can't come here acting like you understand anything about running property." "No," Derek replied, "but I understand the law, and what you did was illegal." Havorson scoffed. "I'm sure your mother exaggerated her condition." Derek took one slow step forward. Harris instinctively moved as well, just enough to bracket Havorson in place. "My mother," Derek said quietly, "is in a hospital bed this morning because you kicked her out during a winter freeze. No legal notice, no hearing, no empathy." Havorson swallowed hard. "Well, she should have paid." "They were 3 days behind," Derek said evenly. 3, and you changed the locks early." Havorson's eyes darted away. "I didn't know she was sick." "You didn't care to know." Havorson's gaze snapped back, anger rising. "You're twisting this. They're not victims. They brought this on themselves." Derek stared at him for a long moment. "You truly believe that, don't you?" Havorson didn't answer. "That late payments equal worthlessness. That hardship equals irresponsibility. That being black means being disposable." Harris stepped in. "Mr. Havorson, we have testimonies showing you threatened tenants with eviction if they complained too much. We also have evidence of you skipping mandatory repairs, turning off heat to force people out, and issuing fake notices." Havorson stammered. This is blown out of proportion. Look, the building is old, things break, people exaggerate." Derek's voice lowered. My mother almost collapsed. That isn't my fault. Yes, Derek said softly, it is. Silence filled the room. Harris pulled out a second document. We also found 3 notices with incorrect dates and forged signatures. Your forged signatures. Havorson's face drained completely. This is. You put families at risk. You endangered lives, Derek said. All because you thought no one would challenge you. Havorson backed up until he hit the wall. You don't understand how much trouble this could cause me. You caused it yourself, Derek replied. Havorson's eyes narrowed suddenly. If you think you can intimidate me because of your title. Derek stepped forward, voice quiet but deadly steady. My title isn't why I'm here, my parents are. Havorson's breath hitched. My father worked every day of his life. My mother took care of everyone before she took care of herself. They struggled in silence so they would bother anyone, and you, knowing their vulnerability, chose to throw them into the cold. Havorson shook his head. I didn't know they were your parents. And if they were, Derek asked, would you still think what you did was wrong? Havorson didn't answer. His silence said everything. Derek exhaled through his nose, a slow, deeply controlled breath. This isn't personal vengeance, he said. This is justice for them, for every tenant you've bullied. Harris removed a set of documents from his coat. Mr. Havorson, you are being formally notified that you are under investigation for illegal eviction, negligence, fraud, and discriminatory practices. Havorson's knees nearly buckled. Wait, you can't do this. I have money, I have connections. So do the people you hurt, Derek said. They just didn't know it yet. Havorson pointed a trembling finger at him. You're doing this because you're angry, because they're your family. No, Derek said. I'm doing this because they are humans, because you treat vulnerability as weakness, because you see people as problems to avoid, not lives to respect. Havorson's voice cracked. I'll lose everything. Maybe, Derek replied. Maybe that's what it takes for you to understand. Harris took a step forward. We'll escort you for questioning. Havorson looked around wildly. This is insane, you can't arrest me. You're not being arrested, Harris said calmly. Yet. Derek turned to leave, coat in hand. At the doorway he paused, looking back one last time. You had every chance to do the right thing, to show compassion, to be decent, Derek said. But you chose cruelty, and now you face the consequences of your choices. Havorson looked at him with broken defiance. You're ruining me. No, Derek said softly. You ruined yourself. He stepped out into the cold morning, breath steady, heart heavy but sure. For the first time since he arrived, justice felt possible, and the man who hurt his parents finally felt what they felt last night. Powerless. Morning faded into afternoon as Derek drove back to the hospital, the storm inside him settling into something calmer, steadier. He wasn't proud of how deeply the confrontation pulled at his emotions, but he was certain of one thing. It was necessary. For the first time, someone had stood in front of Havorson and said, enough. Someone had shown him the weight of what he'd done. When Derek stepped into Marcia's room again, he saw her awake, propped slightly on pillows, blanket tucked snug around her shoulders. Leon sat at her side, feeding her warm tea with careful hands. The way he watched her, as if afraid she might vanish if he looked away, it softened Derek's entire being. Marcia turned her head and her face warmed with relief. Baby, you're back. Derek walked closer. How do you feel? Still tired, she whispered, but better. Leon nodded. The doctor said her heart was under stress, but she's improving. Derek exhaled slowly. That was all he needed to hear. Marcia watched him carefully, reading every line of his face. You went back to the apartment building. He didn't deny it. Yes. Leon rubbed Marcia's hand gently. He didn't do anything reckless. I didn't, Derek said softly. I just told the truth, and the truth was long overdue. Marcia sighed, leaning her head back. You shouldn't have to fight our battles. That's not what it was, Derek replied. You fought alone for too long. Leon studied his son, admiration hidden under layers of worry. What happens now? I opened an official investigation. Derek held their gaze. Havorson won't be bothering anyone for a long time. Marcia blinked, surprised. You mean other families? All this time it wasn't just us. No, Derek said. Others were hurt too, but you'll be the last. She looked down at her hands. I wish people didn't feel so invisible in this world. That's why I'm here, Derek said gently, to make sure you're seen. Tears shimmered in Marcia's eyes. We tried so hard to protect you, and look at you now, protecting us. Leon cleared his throat, his voice thick. Guess the son outgrew the parents. Never, Derek said. I learned everything from you too. He sat beside them, the three of them forming a quiet circle of warmth after a night filled with cold. For a long time they simply breathed together, slow, steady, safe. Hours passed, nurses checked her vitals, doctors updated charts, visitors walked the halls, but inside that small room life gently mended itself. When evening approached, Marcia drifted into sleep once more. Her heartbeat remained strong. Her breathing stayed smooth. The danger was behind her now. Leon stood, stretching his stiff back. We should let her rest. Derek nodded and stepped outside the room. Leon followed, closing the door with careful hands. A soft quiet filled the hallway. You did good today, Leon said. I just did what anyone should, Derek replied. Leon shook his head. No, most people would have walked away. You didn't. Derek looked at his father, the man who taught him decency without demanding applause. The man who worked until his hands cracked, who sacrificed silently for decades, who raised him with dignity even when the world gave them none. You shouldn't have suffered like this, Derek said, either of you. Leon smiled sadly. Life gets heavy sometimes, but having you helps more than you know. Derek swallowed the lump in his throat. You should have told me earlier. Leon sighed. Parents hide things, it's our nature. We don't want to be the burden, we want to be the strength. You still are, Derek whispered. Leon looked away, eyes glistening. Do you think, the place you live, is there enough room for us? We won't stay long, just until your mom gets strong again. Derek frowned softly. Dad, what are you talking about? You're not staying for a little while, you're coming to live with me, permanently. Leon blinked. Derek. No more cold apartments, no more dangerous landlords, no more nights you can't sleep because the heat goes out. Derek looked him dead in the eyes. You gave me a childhood with love and safety, now it's my turn. Leon's voice cracked. I don't want you to feel obligated. It's not obligation, Derek said, it's honor. Leon pressed a hand over his mouth, steadying himself. Your mother will cry when she hears that. Derek smiled, then we'll cry together. Later that night, as Marcia slept peacefully, Derek returned to the apartment building alone. Not to confront Havorson, he had already been taken for questioning, but to gather what was left of his parents' belongings. Snow had stopped falling, leaving a fragile calm over the street. Their boxes and bags, once scattered across the sidewalk, had been gathered neatly by a neighbor who left a small note. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve this. Derek paused when he read it. Even in cruelty, there were small sparks of humanity. He loaded everything into the trunk of his SUV. Then he looked at the building one last time, this place that held years of his parents' struggles, their quiet triumphs, their exhaustion, and finally their breaking point. Never again, he thought. He pulled away without looking back. 2 days later, Marcia was discharged from the hospital. She stepped gingerly into the hospital lobby, bundled in a thick coat Derek bought her that morning. Her cheeks carried more color. Her smile, though faint, held warmth. When she saw the SUV, she hesitated. You sure about this? She asked. Positive, Derek said. She slid into the backseat, her body giving a soft sigh as it relaxed into the warmth of the leather. Leon buckled himself beside her. Derek looked at them through the mirror. This is home now, he said, starting the engine. Let's go. They drove to Derek's condo, a modern high-rise with a bright lobby, friendly staff, and elevators that didn't smell like damp walls or rusted pipes. Large windows, clean halls, heat that worked, safety that wasn't conditional. Marcia stepped inside slowly, eyes wide. This place feels unreal. Leon nodded, taking in the living room. Son, this is too much. No, Derek said, this is exactly enough. He carried their belongings into a spare bedroom he had prepared, fresh sheets, soft blankets, sunlight streaming through tall windows. A vase of flowers sat on the nightstand. The room felt like a fresh beginning. Marcia touched the blanket with trembling fingers. I haven't felt this safe in years. You're home, Derek said, finally. Leon embraced his son tightly. For the first time in years, he didn't try to hide how tired he was, how relieved, how grateful. Derek held him back. "You're not alone anymore, neither of you." A week passed. Havorson's case made local news. Not because Derek wanted publicity, but because the investigation uncovered far more than expected. Tax issues, repair violations, discriminatory complaints from previous buildings he owned. The system finally saw what people had been whispering about. But Derek kept his distance from the media. This wasn't a victory to celebrate. It was a wound being addressed. One morning, Marcia sat on the balcony wrapped in a warm shawl Derek bought her. She watched the sunrise with a soft smile, sipping herbal tea. Her breathing had grown steady, her color strong, her laugh returning little by little. Leon joined her, resting his hand on hers. "Feels like a new chapter." "It is," she whispered, "because our son came home." Inside, Derek was preparing breakfast. Eggs, toast, fruit. Nothing fancy, but everything done with care. He watched his parents through the sliding glass door and thought about the little boy he used to be, the one they shielded from cold and hunger and fear. Now he was shielding them. It felt right. It felt full circle. When they came inside, Marcia embraced him tightly. "You saved us." "No," he said softly. "You saved me first." They sat together at the table, eating, talking, laughing. The room was filled with warmth, not just from the heater, but from something deeper. A family restored. A wound tended. A wrong made right. But more than that, a home finally found. Because sometimes justice isn't served in a courtroom. Sometimes it's served in a kitchen, at a table, between hearts that refuse to break. And sometimes, the greatest victory is simply bringing your loved ones back into the light. Sometimes the world treats the kindest hearts the harshest. It assumes that struggle is weakness, that late rent or hardship is a character flaw, and that those who ask for nothing deserve nothing in return. But the truth is, dignity cannot be measured by wealth, and worth cannot be dictated by cruelty. What Havorson saw as inconvenience, Derek's parents lived as quiet strength. What seemed like weakness was actually endurance. And what seemed like ordinary people were, in fact, extraordinary in the way they loved, sacrificed, and survived. Justice is not always loud. Sometimes it waits patiently for the right moment, for someone with courage, knowledge, and moral clarity to stand up, not out of vengeance, but out of duty. Derek did not humiliate Havorson for his own satisfaction. He did not seek revenge. He simply acted as the shield and voice that his parents and so many like them deserved. That is the power of truth, of persistence, of standing for what is right even when the world encourages silence. This story reminds us that the smallest acts of humanity, compassion, patience, courage, can ripple outward and change everything. A parent's love, a child's loyalty, and the courage to confront injustice are forces stronger than fear, wealth, or cruelty. It shows that even in the darkest nights, with snow biting at your bones and the world turning a blind eye, hope and justice can arrive, not as miracles, but as the natural result of dignity and persistence. If this story touched you, share it with someone who needs to be reminded that kindness matters, that strength can be quiet, and that standing up for what is right is never wasted. Remember that every person deserves to be seen, to be heard, and to be treated with humanity. The world changes when we refuse to accept cruelty as normal and choose to act, not with anger, but with justice. Because real power is not in wealth or authority. It is in protecting those who cannot always protect themselves, and in lifting love, truth, and compassion above fear and indifference.